Hey, how's it going? Welcome back to the channel. And I think this is probably one of the greatest honors I've had so far in my YouTube career. um, Gerhard had mentioned that he had done a lemur puzzle. I did not know that it was specifically in honor of me, so I am blown away. And I thank you very much, Gerhard 1963, for this. I'm glad you mentioned something because I might have breezed over this and not even realized it. So, with that said, I am obviously going to do this puzzle. And again, major thank you for doing this. I guess it's kind of one of those things where you kind of think like you've possibly made it, even though I'm still a very tiny channel. But thank you so much for making this for me, and I want to have a blast solving this. So that's what we're going to do today. It's called A Lemur's Tale by Gerhard 1963, and let's jump into our rules. So what do we have here? We've got irregular regions, so every row, column, and region indicated by thicker borders within the grid must contain a complete set of digits 1 through 9. So this essentially is, you take your normal Sudoku rules, but the regions have been adjusted. So a normal Sudoku, we'd have every row, it wouldn't be a puzzle for me if I didn't make a stupid speaking mistake. It's every row, every column, and every region must contain the digits 1 through 9 once each. Then we've got cages, so digits and cages cannot repeat and must sum to the value shown in the upper left corner of the cage. So we have multiple cages around here. Look at this one right here. These two digits, whatever they are, must add up to 6. Then we've got arrows, so digits along an arrow must sum to the number indicated in the circle or pill from which the arrow emerges. Multi-digit pills are read top to bottom or left to right. And I think I see why some of these is done for me, I guess you could say, because I think there's been instances where I've made the point that the pills can't necessarily, or a single cell might not necessarily be a double digit, something along those lines. I'm rambling because I'm over my head at this moment. Anyway, digits along the arrow sum to the number indicating the circle or pill. So we have a bunch of pills. These could be lemur eyes and stuff like that as well, or tails coming out here. We don't know. But these two digits, we don't have any circles, so it really is the pills. So these are essentially 2-digit arrow sums. So whatever this states in terms of left to right, there are no up and down on either. So if this could be like a 24 or something like that, these digits would have to sum up to that value. And then we have Kropki pairs, so digits in cells separated by a black dot are a 2-to-1 ratio. Digits in cells separated by a white dot are consecutive. Not all dots are necessarily given. So black Kropki dots, we know that these two digits are in a 1-to-2 pair, a ratio. So whatever this digit is, this one has to be half or double of it. And then our white dots are consecutive. So therefore, these two digits are consecutive, i.e. they have a difference of 1. And those are the rules. So with that said, and another big thank you to Gerhard, let's get started on this thing, and hopefully I can get it figured out without too much pain. So where do we want to start? Well, I think these 6 cages are going to be quite useful because they must be 1, 2, 3. It's the only way you can put 3 separate digits into a cage and add up to 6. This 17 cage must be a 9, 8. Again, it's the only way you can make 17. Now, if these two digits, or this digit here, if we're looking at the 6 cage, cannot be 1, 2s, or 3s, these must be either a 4 or a 5, which means this is either a 1 or a 2. And we're going to have on these 8 cages up here, we know that in 3-cell 8 cages, we must have a 1. Now, I think we're also going to have further information that we can provide here for these 8s in these irregular regions. And so there's 2 ways to make 8. We know that's either 1, 2, 5 or 1, 3, 4. Now, the problem there is we have 2 different varieties that can work in both of these instances. This could be the 1, 2 with the 5, or it could be a 1 down here with the 3, 4. So not quite a ton there that we can use, at least at the moment. But we can continue on into our little lemurs and their tails, we can say that, or part of these lemurs and their tails and their Kropkis, is that we've got Kropki dots. So we're going to have instances where this guy right here cannot be a 1-2 because we break this. We're going to have to do some math, which is always a strong point in my game. We're either going to have a 2-4, 4-8, or a 3-6. Now, I think we can very clearly say that this can never be 8, 6, or 4. Because if it was, we're looking at this pill here, where we'd have to get up into the 40s, 60s, or 80s, and that just ain't doing. So if this is a 2 or a 3, this can't be a 2 or a 3, and this can't be an 8. Now, I'm wondering if we can take that further with a 3-6 here, because we would have to be able to get up to 3-6 in 4 cells. Now, we must, of course, remember that the arrows do not require that we cannot repeat numbers, because unless, of course, they're within the same regions. So these two can't repeat, but these two could both repeat over here. So what does that say? Well, the maximum these can be is a 9-8, which is 17. The most these can be is a 9-8. There's reasons why that would work in a certain way, but probably can't here. But the point is we have two sets of digits that could at most be 9 and 8. Those, 17 plus 17 equals 34. Well, 34 is too low because we have to get up to 36. So this can never be a 3-6 pair. So it must be a 2-4 pair. If that's a 2-4 pair, this is not 2. This is 2. That puts a 1 here, and that puts a 5 here. So we are moving. We're moving and schmoving. That's a good thing. Now I think we can do the same concept here. We've got the 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 8. These can never be from 4, 6, 8. This can never be a 3, because we just determined that we can never make 9, 8 plus 9, 8, which is the most these could possibly be, equal to 36. So these don't have a 3 in them. They don't have a 6 in it. This doesn't have an 8 in it. Now that's going to tell me we do have a 2 in one of these. So this is not 2, and this is 2. And what else does that say? Well, we have a 1, 3 here. So we could have also just used that now, since that sorted that. So there is no 1 here. This is a 2 or lemur butt or body with a tail. We don't know. So we have to be able to get up to 24, which means 12 and 12 or some sort of combination of that. Now, I don't think we have quite enough information to do that as of yet. So the other thing I was looking at is the 2s. We know that none of these can be 2s, and that can't be a 2. But either one of these could still be 2. So I don't know that this is the correct place to get to just yet. The other, it's similar up here, I think, because none of these can be 2s, and none of that can't be 2. But either of these could be. All right, so maybe now we go back to this Kropki, and we might have some things to figure out here, but there might be some leftovers that we can't quite figure. So we know, again, we have the black Kropki dots are 1, 2, 2, 4, 4, 8, or 3, 6. We clearly can't put 3, 6 here. So this is from 1, 2, 4, and 8. This can't be a 1 or an 8. So this ends up being a 2 or a 4, but we can't quite say if we have an 8, 4, 2, a 2, 4, 8, a 1, 2, 4, etc., at this point. Now, we can also start looking at these white dotted lemurs and say that the minimums of the tens digit essentially on our pill are 1, 2, and 3. We can't ever get into the 4s, obviously. Now, this can't be a 1 because of this guy here. So this 2, 3 is it can't again go into a 2. Or it can't go, if this is a 2, this can't be a 1. So if this is a 2, this would have to be a 3. This is a 3, this can't be a 2. So if it's a 3, this has to be a 4. Now, we did say that we could possibly have 2 sets of 9s and 8s that equal 34. So we have a little bit more work to do here, it seems. And we don't quite have the same limitation here, because we still could have a 1 here. So we go to a 1, 2, 3, 4 possibility. Do we know? Well, again, we said it's either a 2, 3 or a 3, 4. So we know there's a 3 in here, but that doesn't come into play against all of these other ones, because there's no 3 to deal with. So where, oh, this 1 right here was always giving us a 3 and a 1. So we could have just done that. But that doesn't seem like it's doing too much anyway at the moment. Okay, now we have to, therefore, henceforth, no, just saying things while I try to think about what I need to do here. We know this equals 24. We have 4 digits to get there, which is a lot of digits. We know the bare minimum of this guy's a 5. We know the bare minimum here is a 1, 3. So that's not giving us a ton. What is our next step? I mean, we know there has to be a 2 and a 4 on here, so let's mark those. Because like I said in the options, we had 1, 2, 4, 2, 4, 8. It's those types of situations. We always use the 2s and the 4s. Problem is, we already know where the 2s and the 4s go in both of these regions. So, we're going to have to look deeper into what some of these connections must be. Again, if we get to a 3-4 pair, we're forced to have 8-9, 8-9. I guess we can look over here and say this cannot be a 3-4 pair. 3 and 4 like this. Because that would say that these have to be 8-9 and these have to be 8-9. We have 8s and 9s here, so this can never be a 4. Now, we still could very well, I think, have this be a 3. Does 3-2 work? Because we'd have to have 16s. It means we'd have to have 9-7 and 9-7. That doesn't work either. So this can never get up to a 3. So this has to be either in the teens or in the 20s. Okay. And it's either, yeah, so it's either 1-2, 2-1, or 2-3. So there always has to be a 2. This can't be a 2 anymore. Little bits of information. Let's see. What do we have? Maybe there's something Sudoku-wise further that I just did not look at. And maybe there isn't. Or we can start looking at this guy a little bit, maybe further, because we've got... But then we really start to get into having multiple options, because we know we can't have 1, 2, 2, or 1, 2, 2, 3. And we can't have a 3, 4 because it'd break this. But I think we could get up to 4, 5s, and then anything beyond that here. Now there has to be some bare minimums, right, to get up into 20s. So it's either 23. But we can easily get to 23 in 3 digits, so the 4 digits isn't huge. What about the bare minimums here? we know these are at least a 4-6 pair. I'm going to put it like this for now. We're already up to 10. If we're already up to 10, does that push us further into this direction? Because now we're looking at 13, which could easily be done. So that's maybe a no. Because we can, we can't put a 9 obviously on here, either one of these two, because it would force a 9-8 pair and it'll break this. So going back again, once again, I think the options here are a little bit too much, but I'm gonna take a dive into it. So we've got no 1-2s, no 2-3s, no 3-4s. We could have 4, 5, 6, 7, or 8 is really the options here. And I hate that. I don't like putting those digits in like that. Okay, let's look elsewhere for a second. What's the maximum we can put in here? And maybe that'll do something here. So the maximum is going to be 6, 7, which gets us up to 13 already, which would blow out our 1 from here and get us into the 2 range. And then we'd be either at 21 or 23, but we're already up to 13, so we would just need 10 more. Again, this is not doing a ton for me. Is this guy any more of a restriction than this guy is? Because here, we know we can't have 1. Can we say we don't have 1, 2? We can because of this. This can't be 1, 2. It can't be 2, 3. Again, this would break on both of those. We can't have a 3, 4 because of this. We can't have a 4, 5 because of this. We can't have a 6 or 5, 6 because of this. So these are in the 6, 7, 8, 9 pair, or range, I should say. So we're getting some high digits up onto some of these guys. Now, if this is already a 6, I'm wondering if that's going to cause influence here. Now we know this. Oh, we can't put a 9 on here. Let's get rid of that. Because if we put a 9 on here, we'd have 9-8 pair that break this guy. So we're looking at a 7 as has to be on here. One of the two. And it's either the 6, 7 or 7, 8. Now, if this was, again, if this was bare minimum of 6, let's say, these are a bare minimum of 3, 4, so that's already 7. So 7 and 6 is the absolute minimum we can put onto these 3 digits, which gets us over the 1, 2. So this cannot be 1, it must be a 2. Why did I do that? Okay. Now, does that 2 give us more information down here? I don't think it did. Yeah, because we still have that concept that we have. No, we don't, because the 2 can't go there either. So now we have removed 2 from all of these locations. So this is 2. We actually have a 1, 3 pair here that I just noticed too. All right, so we've got a bunch of 2s going. That's something. And, okay, so here we do still have the possibility of a 2. So I'm going to put that in for the moment. I'm going to get rid of this because this was extraneous information when I was trying to look at this here. So now we know we have to get up to at least 21. We know we are at a 7 plus 6 bare minimum, which is 13. So this would have to be an 8 to get to 21. We could never get to 23 in that instance. Now, I don't see an issue with the 8 going there, because this could just be the 9, 8 like that. Now, if this were to be 23, we do end up having to increase our minimums in some of these to get there. So I have to figure this out because I'm not going to let this puzzle beat me. But that would be quite funny, actually, if it did. Okay, this 2 here. Now we can go back here. This cannot be a 1, 2, 5 anymore. It has to be a 1, 3, 4. These have to be 3, 4, the consecutive digits, so that puts that 1 there. All right. It's a little bit more, which is good. We know one of these two has to be a 1. Again, up here, I mean, we're looking at a 6, 7, 8, 9 possibility, and I can't quite rule these down because of an instance that did occur over here. But again, I'm going to put it in there because I can. Now, what's the bare minimum here? Because we've used the 1, 2, 3, and 4. This is a bare minimum of 5 and 6. So we're up to 11 here, plus 6, which gets us to 17. Let's put these in, because it looks like we're going to have a 6 here, because 1, 2, 3, 4 takes out this. So this has to be from 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, but we have the 8, 9 here. So this is 5. Well, it doesn't have to have anything. I was thinking consecutives for some reason. I wonder why, because of all these other ones I've been looking at. But anyway, the bare minimum we're at here now is, and actually we could have, once we got this stuff, we could have done this, but we could have also done that much earlier. And yet again, this is an 8, 9 pair. This is not 8. You know how I love to do things the hard way. Well, it looks like I'm doing it the hard way, and it's perfectly suitable for this instance. So this is a 5, 6, 7 triple. We can therefore say what? We're getting closer to figuring out this situation here, but we're still a little ways away. 4s are getting close to being determined here. I think it would be nice if we get a 4 here, because I think that starts to bring this down. So we've got 2, 8, 9, 1, and 3 in this region, or this column already. Maybe there's something we can do down here. So we can't do 1, 2, 2, 3, 4. So we're in the 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 region. This can't be 8, 9, of course. This can't be a 4. So there's almost something. We're kind of on the edge right there. And we know there's no 8, 9s in any of these. So this 8, 9 has to pair with an 8, 9 in here somewhere. And this can't be a 9. So where does the 9 go? It's either here or here. Okay. The 3. Yes, okay, the 3s. Finally, I'm starting to see these things. Where's the 3 go? Well, there's a 3 here, so it can't go there. And we can't put one here because we have a 1, 3 pair. So this is our 3, and this is our 1. Now we know that these guys, if I can click properly, must be from 1 and 4. This cannot be 1. This is 4. This is 1. Now we're going to start getting a little bit going. This can't have a 4 on it. I'm just going to keep saying now we're getting there until I actually get there. Because that's just the way I roll. So what do we have left now that we've gotten some of these other digits in here? Well, we know none of these can be 1s. So one of these must, well, we can just look here. This has to be a 3. So let's put that in there. We know one of these has to be a 1. Now, that said, we still are finding ourselves having to get up to now a 23. So let's look at our maximums. Our maximum is 7, 6, which is 13, plus another 7, which is 20, which force this to be a 3, which obviously it can't be. The other option on the maximums, this is a 7, 6, and this is a 6. So we get 13, we get 19. This would have to be a 4. It can be a 4. In fact, it is a 4 if we just look at the whole of the column. None of these can be 4. None of these can be 4. This is a 4. So we do know now that we have to get these 3 digits to equal to 19. And the only way to do that is with a 7, 6 pair here, which equals 13, and this being a 6, and this has to be a 7. So therefore, this is a 5. Okay, looking around, pretending we know what we're doing. This can't be 6. This is a 5 or a 7. That's all that's left here. These 2 digits are left with what? We need a 5, which could go in either position, and we need an 8 or a 9. I don't know that I like that, at least to mark it in the current situation that we're in. If this is a 5, 7 pair, though, this can't be 5 or 7. So this has to be from 6, 8, and 9. If we just look at the region, the irregular region, which throws me off again, of course, every now and again. I think that's why Gerhard is making these puzzles this way. Just to kind of throw me a curve. I love it, though. Oh, this 4 down here, this has to be 3. This has to be 4. And we are now, I guess I'm going to have to put these in. These have to be from 5, 8, 9. This can't, oh wait, this can be. The irregular region almost struck again. So one of these is a 5. We know this is a 7 to start. We have to get it to 24. So we need 17 more. Oh, this 4 here. Let's just put a 2 here. Why don't we? Instead of blustering around. This has to be 4. This has to be 2. Or 1. I can speak. That 4 now proves that this is a 3 and this is a 2. And these 2 guys must be 8 and 9. All right. 5s. What else can go in? Is there anything we can go up in here with? Doesn't look like it because we have 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 all left over. Okay. Now, can we do anything with these digits? Because, well, we know, what are these guys? Let's do this first. We need to have a 3, a 5, a 6, and a 7. These can't be 3s. So we've got some decent sized numbers going on this lemur tail. What? The problem is there is quite a variation because we could very easily have a minimum of 8 here. And that would go quite nicely with a 7 and a 9. The other way we look at it, if this could be, yeah, this can't be a maximum because this can't be 7, 6. Because that would put us up to 20. 7, 6 is 13 plus 7 is 20. And we'd be too high here. So we cannot ever have the maximum here. This can't be a 7, 6 pair. But it probably could be multiple other things. Like a 7, 5 would probably work. Because that would put us into the 19 category, and this could be a 5 to get us to 24. Okay. All right, we're going to have to switch gears yet again, but that's fine. So I started kind of thinking about this. Let's look back at this Kropki, because it seems to be one of the few that I haven't gotten. Oh, let's look here, the 2. We know the 2 now is out. This is a 2. And we know that it's either a 1, 2, 5 or a 1, 3, 4, and therefore it must be a 1, 2, 5 with a 7 and a 5 and a 6. This is not 6, so we end up with an 8, 9 pair going on over here. Okay, so that worked out nicely. What about these guys? The bare minimum we have here now is 4 and 6, which is 10. We'd have to get 14 more. We can easily do that. There's only a couple ways to do it, but we can do it. But I'm going to jump back to this Kropki because that's where I started looking before I saw the obvious. And this guy, again, we can't do anything with 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4. Now, we could technically put a 4, 5 on here. This couldn't be the 5. So it'd be in that position. We can't do 5, 6 or 6, 7 because it would break these guys. And we can't do an 8, 9 because it would break this guy. So the only other option is this is a 7, 8. And we've just put a bunch of digits in here that all seem to work perfectly fine. Okay. Scanning, scanning, scanning. It's kind of interesting how some of these regions are just almost empty, and then some of them are just completely full at this point. But that's just amusing. Not amusing, but amusing. We know one of these has to be a 3. Does that do anything to our lemur tails? Well, if this is a 3, these are 10. These have to get up to 14. We said we can already do that. If this is a 3, we've got to get to 21, and that's still quite possible. Now, one of these two has to be a 4. Picking again at the bones, picking at the bones. One of these must be a 5 by Sudoku, so let's do that. This guy's running into some higher digits now. It has to be from 6, 7, 8, and 9. So if we're already up to this height, can we do anything with these guys to lessen the impact here? This was... Yeah. Don't see it there. So what clues have I not looked at? Or maybe I just need to look further at Sudoku. Yeah, I do. Okay. I tend to forget about Sudoku sometimes when I'm really focused on certain regions and clues. One of the many things I must get better at. But there's a 1 right there. How about the 2s? 6, 7, 8. We have all the 1s, all the 2s. What about our 3s? We know one of these has to be a 3. Do we know anything further? Don't think so. Not for 3s, at least. How about 4s? One of these must be a 4. None of these can be 4s. Well, that can't. Oh, I already have a 4 in this region. None of these can be 4s. That's not too good. And we already got the 4s up there, so let's look at our 5s. Okay, here we go. No. Irregular regions gets me again. It fools me again. It's like, oh, we get a 5 right here. No, we don't. None of these can be 5, so one of these is. So we know there's a 5, at least on this 23 clue. Can we pull anything else out of this? I don't think so on the 5, so let's look at 6s. Try to get as far as we can with our Sudoku before we figure out what we really need to be doing. Not seeing anything on the 7s, 8s, or 9s, because we really don't have any 8s or 9s, just a couple of X-Wing or pairs types of situations. Okay, we gotta go back to something else now. What's that gonna be? Okay, where are we? All right, I've got so many pencil marks. I'm starting to lose focus, I think I can say. But we certainly have plenty more we can figure out here. And we are going to do so. So I feel like these have got to be more impactful, and I just haven't thought up exactly what it is. So remember, this had to be 10, these had to be 13. We're good there. The 7 meant we have to get to 17. We stated we can't have super high digits across the board. But we could certainly have a high digit here and then some lower digits here. Because if this is 9, we have to get to 17. We have to get another 8. We could easily do a 5-3 pair. And then as we reduce this digit, we end up getting more and more going on here. Or more and more options, I should say, down here. Here, again, we've got 24 to get to. That's still quite a good chunk of value. 6. I was hoping there would be something, some kind of interaction between these that I could pull together to kind of get myself out of this little jam I'm in. But if we put the 4 or 5, it just puts a 6, 7 here. And then we have 8, 9 pairs out here. No issues there whatsoever. The other options, we have a 7, 8 here. Well, do we always have a 6 here? Maybe that's part of the solution, but probably not all of it. Like I said, if we have a 4, 5, this is a 6, 7. If we have a 7, 8, this is a 6, 5. So there is a 6 here. So there's no 6 here. Now, in this row, we cannot have a 6 in any of these areas. So therefore, there must be a 6 here, which means there's not a 6 here. Let's go further with that. If this is a 7, 8, it forces this to be a 9. Does that break anything? 7, 8, 5, 6. This is 9. This has to be 4. That does seem to work perfectly fine. Now we've got 2 fairly high digits sitting here. The bare minimum those can be is 15 at the, well, yeah, 15, because we could have 8 and 7. Now again, these can repeat, so we have to remember not to mess with that. So we're at 15 as a minimum, which means we only have 9 left to work with between these two at our bare minimum. Therefore, this cannot ever be an 8. These can't ever be 7s, right? Let's make sure I'm not being dumb here. 7 and 8 is the minimum. That gives me 15. We have 9 left. Yeah, there cannot be 7s in either of these. So this is a 4. If that's a 4, this is not a 4. Clearly, this is a 5. These are not 5s. Nope, not 5s. Which means these have the 5s in them. So this is not a 7. Let's get rid of our markings. Again, we're moving. 6, 7. This has to be either 8 or 9. This cannot be a 5 anymore. These have to be from... Oh, again, the irregular regions is throwing my eye off. These are from 6, 7, 8, and 9. We've got a 3, 5 pair here. This can't be a 5. This is an 8, 9 pair. Go away, 8, 9. We don't want you anymore. This is a 6, 7 pair. This is not a 7. Okay, now we're starting to get further along. Now these two digits, bare minimum of 16. They could be 8 and 8. If they're 16, this is a 4. That's already got us to 20. That doesn't work. So these have to be an 8. I think these have to be an 8-9 pair, or an 8-9 combo. Because we said 16, if these are 8s, both 8s, this is 16, this adds it to 20, we'd have to put a 4 on it, we don't have a 4. If this was 9-9, that's 18, this would be another 4, that's 22, we'd have to put a 2 on it, we don't have that. So this is 8-9, which is 17, 21, this is a 3, this is a 5. Now, we know these are 8s and 9s, and this might be a coloring situation. I'm going to do it automatically, because I've run into trouble not doing it when I should have. I'm sure these are all little things that Gerhard knows about me and how I solve. So, okay, so we have now here on 5 and 7. So these have to equal 12 as a bare minimum. So we have to get 12 more. How do we make 12? Well, sure as heck can't use a 6 because we'd have to put another 6 here. So this is 7. This is 6. Now we're at 19, we need a 5, so this is 5. We also could have looked at that and said that's an 8-9, so this has to be 5. You know me. Okay, we are moving and grooving, loving it. Now this is a maximum of 12, so we have to at least get up to 11 on this thing. And how are we going to do that is the question of the day. Or did I open up some basic Sudoku that I should probably check on first? That would make sense. If I can get my eyes to focus properly here, we can do this. None of these are 3s, so there's a 3 in one of these. No 3s. We already know one of those is a 3. I don't think the 3s are being helpful here, so let's move along to our 4s. I think we had already pretty much sorted our 4s, except for a couple of an X, not even an X-wing. No, we don't. Here we go. We did actually do it, so let's put those digits in. Why did I hit 1? I do not know. Now we're at 9 on this 23. So we have to get to 22. To 22? What am I talking about? These are 9. You have to get to 23, so we need 14 more. It could be 7, 7, or it could be 6, 8. I think we have options to go both ways with that. So let's continue with our Sudoku fun. 5s, one of these two is a 5. This 5 is already taken. It's so much easier for me sometimes just to mark everything. Because otherwise, I'm just running around like a chicken with his head cut off. We already have the 5s in there. Okay, so it's just an X-wing of 5s. Okay, all that for nothing. 6s. We've got... None of these can be 6s, so one of these is. Is that correct by our region? Yes, it is. So none of these can be 6s, so one of these is. Now we've got an X-wing on 6s, so there must be a 6 up in here somewheres. And that seems as far as we can go. Let's do 7s. Again, we don't have much in 7s, and we don't have much in 8s and 9s, so we're going to have to, again, try to sort some of this stuff out. So I think we've used most of the clues that we can use. And we're either going to have to start figuring out how to differentiate between some of these 8s and 9s and 6s and 7s, etc., or there's going to be something else that we're just completely missing. Now, the 3s really are left with X-wing status as well, so the 3s aren't being too helpful. We said the 1s and 2s are done. The 4s were done too, right? Yeah, okay. And then the rest of the digits, we still have some options left. The 5s were in an X-wing. The 4s were in the 3s were in an X-wing. And the 6s had X-wing statuses going on as well. I guess we know that none of those can be 6s. So one of these is, which means this one isn't. We're very close to actually getting something out of this guy, but it's not quite there yet. 7, 8. What else do we need in this column? We need a 6. It goes here. Get out of here. So now we know there is an 8 in this thing. This is either 7 or 9 as the last digit of use. What about our 6s in this column? None of these can be 6s. So this is 6, 7. What did I say? This needed to be a 7, 7 or an 8, 6, right? Let's just make sure we're not screwing up. 9, 16. We needed 7 more. Yeah, so this is 7. This is not 7. And this is either 8 or 9. So we have an, no, we don't. Again, the regions messing with my head. Okay. So we've finished these clues. This one, we have to somehow differentiate these two. And I think every other clue, other than this guy here, seems to be to a point of completion. So we do, like I said, we have a bunch of 8s and 9s. And I've had situations in the past where we'd had to color to figure out what was what. So let's do that. That's blue. That's that. That's that. We need an 8 or a 9 up here. We need an 8 or a 9 in one of these two. I don't quite know. 3, 6, 8, 9. And it has to be a magenta 8, 9. So this can't be the 8 or the 9. So we know one of these two is. This is not a 6. We already said that previously. This is not a 3. We said that previously. Sometimes you just got to go back and make sure you got your markings correct. This guy makes this a blue one. This guy, we know the magenta 8, 9 has to be down here, so this is a blue 8, 9. The problem is we cannot necessarily say that this is the magenta 8, 9 to go with it until we figure out where the 7 actually goes. So I need to see, again, if there's any rows, columns, or clues that I have not fully vested yet. And it looks like this guy's going to get me up into an hour before I can get this thing figured out. And again, it's par for the course. So I need to have a 7 in here somewhere. And it can't be here because this row, and we have this 7. So this is 7. Can we do more with 7s now? Yes, we can. None of those can be. That's what it's going to be. 7, 9. This is 8. This is 7. This is 6 and 7. So now we can say all of our blues are 8s, all of our magentas are 9s, and let's get out of here. I'm going to color these because I want to. This has to be magenta 9. That 9 is going to cause this to be a 9, this to be blue 8. So let's put them in. 9 and 8s are now good. We have to put another 8 in here somewhere, and it can't go here, so it's got to be here. I think that's going to be all of our 8s and 9s once I get this one put in. So right, we got 3, 3, 3 in the regions, right? No. We have not finished. This one is it. 9. So our 9s are now done. This is 3. This is 6. This is 6 and 5. This has to be a 3. This has to be a 3. This is a 5. And thankfully, and I say thankfully before I push this button, I must say, hopefully, this is correct. Cool and good. I love it. Thank you, Gerhard. This has been an awesome puzzle. Of course, like I've said multiple times, it took me longer. It definitely started off with a good flow, and I think it intentionally got a little bit harder as we got towards the end. But I can't thank you enough for making a puzzle for me. That's the first time in the history of Logic Lemur Gaming that has occurred. So my hat's off to you. If I had a hat, I would tip it. Anyway, I hope you all enjoyed this one. If you did, like, comment, subscribe. I'm going to plug myself because this is my puzzle. Or made for me. I shouldn't say it's not my puzzle. This is Gerhard's puzzle. But hope you all enjoyed this one as much as I did. And again, I hope you realize how appreciative I am of all of you who actually watch this content, who like, who subscribe, who comment, who do all this stuff for me. It makes my world. So thank you for everything, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks a lot.